Hello everyone. Today I'm going to introduce our database management project proposal. This database is designed for civil engineering and construction field, which can be applied for some research labs or some companies from civil engineering. So the application area here will be applied for some civil engineering construction companies or some construction factory or even the research labs from civil engineering. So the challenge is here because the data are currently stored by handouts or some created Excels, so they're not well organized and cannot be accessed easily. So that's why we designed a database management, and that will require us to record both the basic information and also lab project progress, so it can help the company and lab to better analyze and track the status of lab experiment of situations and situations of different project. So this DBMS can both save the cost since we have a better understanding of the situation, so we can avoid some necessary costs because of this database, and that's will help the company and lab run more effective. The needs for the application will be basically keep records of the information from engineers' personal information, financial status, the lab and project information, and also the storage information. So the database can assist the company to track the progress of projects and lab tests, and also we'll be able to monitor the situation of storage to be a safe and efficient way to supply the lab and project. The requirement here are 6 requirements. So each lab can only have 1 engineer to manage, and each test can have at most 3 engineers to work on it. Each project can have at most 5 engineers to be responsible, and each storage can only have 1 person to manage. Employee can be both financial officer and storage manager, and also the engineers can work at most 2 projects at the same time.
Here are the forbidden constraints of this database. First one is that engineers should possess at least a bachelor's from civil engineering and construction. The delay for each project cannot be over a third of the normal projected period. The lab materials cannot be used more than twice of regular usage to prevent waste, and payment cannot be acquired 2 pay periods in advance and cannot be delayed for more than 5 business days. Engineers cannot be financial officers, and all entities are not null.
So the entities and attributes here are basically 5 entities, which are engineers, lab, storage, project, financial office, and each entities will have their own attributes. So here the engineer ID is the primary key for engineers. Lab ID is the primary key also for lab. So the engineer ID is the primary ID for storage. The project ID and pay ID are uh, respectively for project financial office. So basically we can see from the schemas here that each entities will have their own attributes to present and record informations, and that will make the whole database more organized. So the relationships for those entities are the engineers can work on lab and project, and engineers will manage the storage. And also the financial office will pay for engineers and also lab and storage. So this is our ER diagram, so we can more clearly see the relationships and also which attributes from which entities. So we can see that the engineers will work on the lab and project. The storage will be managed by engineers. The financial office will also pay for lab and also engineers and storage. So each part will have their own attributes, which will help us to organize, not like the Excel created Excels before. So everything will be recorded electronically into the database, which can help us to manage the information better. So the timeline here that we will have to do such things for our future project. So we will need 1 week to create the DDL commands and also 1 week to gathering and manage the data from civil engineering labs or some company so we can put into the database. And also we will create the DML commands for like 1 week. So finally, we will perform a final database check at about half of the week to make sure everything is works appropriate and effective. That's all for our presentation today. Thanks for your listening.